Tonight we will learn to talk about our place where we live. Where do we live? Not the city or not the country, but is it an apartment or a house? So let's begin with some adjectives. This is how we describe our place. It could be beautiful, big, busy. Do you know crowded? Crowded ဆိုရင်ဘာဖြစ်တာဖြစ်လဲ crowded.
Order, Sunday,
Crowded. It means there are a lot of people. Crowded ဆိုတာလူ
ကျမလာလူရည်ထူထားတာ
ဟုတ်တယ် crowded ဆိုရင်လူများတယ်လူကြက်တယ်ဆိုရင် crowded historic historic
history တ
history
မိုင်းဝင်လာလား
history ကနေလာပြီရဲ့နေကိုယ့်ရဲ့ကိုယ်နေတဲ့နေရာသမိုင်းဝင်နေရာဆိုလို့ရှိရင် historic lively lively
lively စာနေထိုင်
lively means တက်ဝင်လှုပ်ရှားတာပေါ့နော်ဟိုအရင်တိတ်ဆိတ်နေရာမဟုတ်ဘဲနဲ့လူတွေသွားလာရှိတဲ့နေရာဆိုရင် lively you can say some places lively new noisy noisy or peaceful how about peaceful
peaceful စာငြိမ်းချမ်းတာ
yeah we have quiet safe unsafe
safe
အန္တရာယ်ရှိတယ်
စာလုံခြုံတယ်
လုံခြုံတယ်မလုံခြုံတယ်ပေါ့နော် and here are some nouns we can describe where we live apartment ဆိုပါဖြစ်မယ်
apartment type တိုက်ခန်းစာ
yeah city
city မြို့
house
house in
neighborhood
neighborhood စာအိမ်နီးနားချင်း
အိမ်နီးနားချင်းအိမ်ပတ်ဝန်းကျင်ဟုတ်တယ် street
ဟုတ် street စာ land
town
town စာမြို့
and village the village yeah and we have some adjectives some prepositions that we can use to describe where we are staying and let's see in contact so mostly for the street road coast အဲ့ဒါဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ preposition on ကိုသုံးတယ်ပေါ့နော် on ဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့ I live on a noisy street လမ်းပေါ်မှာနေရဆိုတဲ့အဓိပ္ပာယ်ပေါ့နော်ကိုနေတဲ့လမ်းက noisy street ဆိုဘာဖြစ်တာလဲဆူညံနေပေါ့နော်ဆူညံနေတဲ့အဆိုတဲ့လမ်းမှာနေတယ် I live on a noisy street how about I live on a busy road ဘာပြောပြမလဲ busy road ဆိုတော့ and you guess busy ဆိုတာလဲခုနပြောသလို
busy
လူ
စာရှု
များ
ပ်
တာ
တာ
ပဲလမ်းရှုပ်တယ် correct
ဟုတ်
ဆိုတော့အဲ့လိုနေရာတွေမှာနေရဆိုရင်ကျတော့လမ်းနေဆိုလို့ရှိရင် on နဲ့ပြောရပေါ့နော် I live on a noisy street on a busy road and I live on the coast တည်လားမသိ coast
costa စာကမ်းရိုးတန်းကိုပြော
yes အဲ့လိုကမ်းရိုးတန်းတစ်လျှောက်မှာနေတဲ့ဟာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်း on the coast here မြို့တွေတို့town city အဲ့ဒါဆိုတော့အရင်ပေါ့နော်မြို့ထဲမှာနေတယ်ဆိုတော့ for example I live in a crowded city လူနေထူတဲ့မြို့ထဲမှာနေတယ် neighborhood ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းဒီလိုမျိုးအိမ်နီးနားချင်းပတ်ဝန်းကျင်ထဲမှာနေလဲပေါ့ I live in a quiet neighborhood ဆိုရင် quiet ဆိုရင်တိတ်ဆိတ်တယ်ပေါ့နော် I live in a small town you can say အိမ်လုံးတယ်အဲ့ဒါဆိုရင်အိမ်လုံးတယ် and I live in the mountains ကကြတော့ဒီတောင်တန်းနေပြောတာလေတောင်တန်းနေဆိုတော့အဲ့တောင်ကြီးပေါ်တက်နေရမှာမဟုတ်ဘူးအဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မလို့ on လုံးမပြောဘူးတောင်တန်းနေကြားထဲမှာပေါ့နော်တောင်ကြီးမှာဖြစ်မယ်တောင်နှလုံးအဲ့လိုကြားထဲမှာဖြစ်ပေါ့နော်တောင်ကြီးမှာအဲ့လိုချက်အင်းပြည့်သွားအဲ့တော့ I live in the mountains ဆိုတော့အဲ့မှာ number 1 to 7ရှိရယ် in နဲ့ on နဲ့ထည့်ပြောကြည့်အောင် I live
peaceful
town ဆိုတော့ဘာဖြစ်မလဲ I live in or on
I live in
I live in a peaceful town good
I
number
live
2
in a peaceful town
she lives
she lives crowded she lives on a crowded street
we use on for the street she lives on a crowded street they live
crowded street
neighborhood
they live in an unsafe neighborhood
do you live
do you live in the
city do you like living
do you like living in the coast of Kanyuran on do
on the
you
coast
live do you like living on the coast
we live
in the mountains
live in the mountains he lives
on a new road
he lives on a new road yes and this is how we make the questions very simple where do you live where do they live for he and she where does he live where does she live This is how we ask questions. So the answer could be, I live on a busy street. They live on a busy street. For the he and she, we have as, he lives, she lives in a crowded city. If it is a city, we use preposition in. For streets, road, coast, we have to use on. And neighborhood, mountains, we use in for that. So he lives in a crowded city, or you can say, I live in a crowded city. Depends on your situation. So let's do this one. Where do you live?
I live on a busy street.
Where does she live?
She lives in a crowded neighborhood.
Where do they live?
They live in an apartment.
All right. Please ask the questions for now.
Where do you live?
I live on a busy street.
Where does she live?
She lives in a crowded neighborhood.
Where do they live?
They live in an apartment. Okay. You know an apartment, right? What is an apartment?
Like,
Yes. And we can ask whether somebody like living, for example, do you like မြို့ထဲမှာနေရကြိုက်လားဆိုဘယ်လိုမျိုးလဲ Do you like living?
do you like living in the city?
Yeah, do you like living in the city? But if the person says yes or no, it could be yes or no because it's a yes or no question. The answer might be yes or no. So if it is yes, you can ask why. Why do you like living in the city? It could be no as well. So you can say, why don't you like living in the city? If we want to know the reason why they like or why they don't like living in a place, we can ask, why do you like living on a busy street? Why do you like living in a crowded city? Or why don't you like? For he and she, we use does. Why does he like living in a crowded city? Or why doesn't she like living on a busy street? So the answer comes with because. I like living there. So we don't have to repeat the same place. If the question say why do you like living on a busy street? You don't have to say I like living on a busy street. You can just say there. I like living there because why? You can say
It's
because it's
lively.
lively or it's historic, it's peaceful, it's quiet, it's safe. So there are a lot of adjectives you can describe. You can say why you like or not. And if you don't like, of course, you can say it's not unsafe, it's not safe or something like this. So, okay. Why do you like living in a quiet city?
I like living there because it's safe.
Why don't you like living on a busy street?
I don't like living there because it's noisy.
Good. And you ask the questions now.
Why do you like living in a quiet city?
I like living there because it's safe.
Why don't you like living on a busy street?
I don't like living there because it's noisy. All right. So here we have some walks and all right, let's begin with the city. Number one, how would you describe the city? Is it an adjective? You can use an adjective and describe the picture. One, we have a city. So do you like living in the city?
Yes. ဆရာ
And
နံပါတ်1ကိုပဲပြောအောင်
yes, for number one now.
ဟုတ်
You like living in the city အဲ့ဒီမျိုးဆိုရင်ကြည့်လိုက်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီမျိုးဆိုရင်ဘာဖြစ်လဲပုံကြည့်လိုက်ရင် safe ဖြစ်မယ်လို့ထင်သလား but you can say ပုံမှာစ
quiet
ကားလုံးနေရှိတယ်ဘယ်စကားလုံးနဲ့ match လုပ်လို့ရ
ဟုတ် The city is quiet.
quiet okay and number two avenue ကကျတော့ is the same as road street avenue is a long road main road so it's an avenue
The avenue is crowded.
crowded
Crowded
and number
avenue.
three we have a road
Road.
we have another word for crowded similar to
Crowded.
crowded.
The road is crowded.
Yes, there is another similar word to crowded. Crowded and anything ဟာဘာသုံးလို့ရသေးလဲ
crowded ကထူးထပ်တာနော်
busy we can say
busy
this is a
ဟုတ်
busy road and
the
number
road
4
is
neighborhood
busy neighborhood ဆိုဒါ safe နဲ့တောင်းလို့
yep of course it could be
the
safe
neighborhood is safe
it's safe quiet maybe safe quiet peaceful and number 5 area means around the environment area yeah
the area is modern
you can say yeah modern
place
peaceful lively it's not lively
modern
we don't see any
peaceful
people. All right, so we
Oh.
have another 3 pictures, and what you need to do is you have to talk about the picture at least with 2 sentences. So you can explain, you can describe the picture in 2 sentences. So there is a village, so you might need to use 2 adjectives to describe one picture this time.
I like living ဆရာအဲ့လိုပြောလဲ
Yeah, you can
I
say
want
that.
to
I like living in the village.
I like living in the village because it's quiet. It's quiet.
It's quiet. Okay. And number 2, street.
Number 2, the street. The street ကျတော့လမ်းပေါ်မှာဘယ်လမ်းရှိရပြောမှာလဲကြိုက်တာပြောမှာလဲ
You can
Forbiano.
say anything about the street by looking at the picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
လမ်းရှင်းနေရကြတော့ဘယ်လိုပြောလဲရှုပ်တာ busy တို့ crowded တို့တော့
quiet.
Land
You can say
sheen.
quiet.
Quiet ပဲ
Yeah, the
the
street is
I
quiet
like
because there is no
the
one.
street is
There's not a lot of
quiet.
cars going. Yeah.
အဲ့ဒါဘယ်လိုပြောလဲ The street is quiet and
Because you can say yeah because there is not a lot of people going traveling on the street. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
ဒါနံပါတ်2
Yeah. The street is quiet because ဘာဖြစ်လို့ quiet ဖြစ်နေလဲဆိုလူတွေမရှိလို့လို့ပြောလို့ရတယ်လေ because there is not a lot of people on
not a lot
the
of
street.
people
Yeah.
on the street. The street is quiet because the people is
There is not a lot of people.
there is not a lot of people on the street.
Yeah. And neighborhood.
Neighborhood solutions. The neighborhood is historic level.
Historic. Yeah, it's historic.
Historic.
Historic and could be lively as well. There's many people going around lively. Yeah. Neighborhood is historic. Okay, let's do this one. Where do you live?
I live on 231 Baker Street. Do you know that area is in a lively part of Jefferson?
Oh, yeah. Do you like living there?
Not really. My house is small and there's a lot of traffic. It's pretty noisy and not very safe.
That's too bad. I live on 1612 Orange Grove Road. Is in a historic part of Gulfport.
Oh, yes. How do you like it?
I love it. The neighborhood is quiet and the houses are old and beautiful.
That sounds nice. I would like to move to a place like that someday.
Someday, all right. So you are person A this time and I'll be person B.
Yes. Where do you live?
I live on 231 Baker Street. Do you know that area? It's a lively part of Jackson.
Oh, yes. Do you like living there?
Not really. My house is small and there's a lot of traffic. It's pretty noisy and not very safe.
That's too bad. I live on 1612 Orange Grove Road. It's in a historic part of Colport. Colport.
Oh, oh yeah. How do you like it?
I love it. The neighborhood is quiet and the houses are old and beautiful.
That sounds nice. I would like to move to a place like that someday. So the question is, where do you live? So you can say the street and what kind of building are you staying in? It could be a house or an apartment. So he says, I live on Parker Street. Do you know that area? အဲ့နေရာတည်သလားပေါ့နော် It's a lively part
Uh,
of Jackson ဆိုတော့ Jackson ကမြို့တွေ့မြို့ဖြစ်လိမ့်မှာပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီ Jackson မြို့ရဲ့ lively park ဆိုတော့ဘာပြောရလဲ lively park ဆိုတော့
Lively ဆိုခဏ
သက်ဝင်လှုပ်ရှားတဲ့အ
အမ
ပိုင်းပေါ့နော်
တက်
park
ဝင်လှုပ်ရှားတဲ့အစိပ်အပိုင်းဟုတ်
so yeah do you like living there နေရကြိုက်သလား
အဲ
ဆိုတော့
တက်ဝင်လှုပ်ရှားတဲ့အစိပ်ပိုင်းဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါဘယ်လိုဟာကိုပြော
ထား
Jackson
ပါတော့မြို့တစ်မြို့ရှိရယ်အဲ့ဒီ
ဟုတ်
မြို့ထဲမှာအဲ့ဒီသူပြောတဲ့ Parker Street ဆိုတဲ့လမ်းကအဲ့ဒီလမ်းကလူသားလူလာများတယ်အဲ့ကြောင့်သက်ဝင်လှုပ်ရှားတဲ့အပိုင်းဖြစ်တယ်
အသုံးများတဲ့ဟာဟုတ်
ဟိုပေါ့နည်းနည်းစီစီကားကားဖြစ်တဲ့နေရာပေါ့နော်ဒီနေရာ
ဟုတ်
ပြောမယ်မြို့ရဲ့စီကားတဲ့နေရာပေါ့နော် So
ဟုတ်
it's a lively part of Jackson. Oh yeah, do you like living there? Not really. My house is small. I'm a do ain't there. I don't know much and there's a lot of traffic. ပါတယ်လေဖြစ်လို့လေဒီလား traffic.
ဟို traffic ဆိုတာလေးဆိုလမ်းပိတ်တာ
ဟုတ်တယ်
ဟာမီးဟာလေးဒါ
ကားလမ်းပိတ်တာတွေလမ်းကျက်တာတွေအရင်
ကားလ
ဖြစ်တယ်
မ်းပိတ်တာဟု
It's
တ်
pretty noisy and not very safe. ဆူညံပြီးတော့တိတ်ပြီးတော့လေ
သိ
လမ်း
မ
ကြော
ဖြစ်
င်မှုပေါ့နော် That's too bad.
ဟုတ်
I live on 1612 Orange Grove Road သူနေတဲ့လမ်းပြောတယ် It's a historic part တဲ့ historic part ဖြစ်သွားတယ်တမိုင်းဝင်အစိပ်ပိုင်း
တမိုင်းဝင်
Golf
တဲ့အစိပ်ပိုင်း
golf pot ကကြတော့စိတ်ကမ်းပေါ့နော် golf ဆိုတော့ကြ
ဟုတ်
တော့ကွေ့တယ်ပေါ့နော်ပင်လယ်စိတ်ကမ်းနေရာပြောအဓိကတော့ golf pot Okay they have the same meaning golf pot Oh yeah how do you like it I love it. The neighbor who is quiet, say Gansro is quiet, and the houses are old and beautiful. Any other how maybe
how
lot.
do you လာပါ
That
ဟု
sounds
တ်
nice, and I like to move a place like that someday. အဲ့လိုမျိုးနေရာရွှေ့ချင်တယ်ပေါ့နော် Someday တနေ့မှာ So let's fill in the blanks. Hey Rick, where do you live? I
I live on 231 Baker Street
Street. Yes.
Street do you know that area is in a ဟိုဟာလေးဆိုခဏအဲ့ဒါနောက်တစ်ခုကအဲ့ဒါ
Lively part of
ဟိုဟာဖြစ်တာ
Jackson. Do you like
lively lively part of Jackson oh yes do you like
do you like
road there
living?
or living
Do you like
do you
living
like
there?
living there
Not
not
really.
really my house is small and there is a lot of traffic it's
Small this it's
pretty
pretty
noisy and not very safe
noisy and not very
noisy
safe.
and
That's
not
too
very
bad.
safe. That's too bad. I live on 1712 Orange Grove
Road,
no,
road,
Grove Road.
road
Road. Akama historic.
is
It's in a
in
historic part of
a half
Godport.
pot.
Oh yes. How do you like it, Lisa? Yes, I like it. I like it. The neighborhood is quiet and the houses are old and beautiful. That sounds nice.
I like to
I would like to move.
move to a place
I would
like
like
that
to move to a place like that someday.
someday. Yes. So let's do this one. I'm gonna be person A and you will be B. Where do you live?
I live in a big city.
Do you like living in a big city?
Yes.
Why do you like living in a big city?
I I like living there because it's lively, beautiful, and historic.
Yeah, so this is how we talk about our place. So the questions we can use is where do you live? And do you like living there? Do you like living somewhere? Depend on the answer, and we can ask why or why not. So we have some picture here. So I'm gonna go for number one. So where do you live? Number one ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်မှာနေရလဲပြောလို့ရအောင်လဲ Where do you live?
I live in a big city.
Now the big city ဒီမှာကျတော့ land ကိုပြောရဆိုလေ land နဲ့ပြောကြအောင်
Land ကဆိုလို့ရှိရင် I live on land မှာဆို I live on ဒီတိုင်းပြောလို့ရမလား I live on AV9 Bukit Batok Street.
I live on a
ဒီမှာ land နာမည်မပါတော့လေဆရာကိုယ့်ကိုထည့်လိုက်လို့ရတယ်
oh no really I live on a busy street or you can say that I live on a busy
I live
noisy
on a
road.
busy street.
Yes. And do you like living on a noisy busy street? You like
Busy
living
street.
yeah, do you like living on a busy street? Do you like?
No, I don't like.
Why don't you like living there?
Because this street is လမ်းလျှောက်တော့ဆူညံ
Noisy
noisy and crowded and not safe
and safe.
unsafe.
Yeah,
Yes,
very good.
unsafe.
And for the number two, I'm gonna ask another question. Where do you live? As in, do
I live
in
house
Boni
နဲ့ပြော
I live in a house, yeah.
I live in a house.
Do you like living in a house?
Yes, I like living in a house.
So why do you like living in a house?
I like living in a house because safe,
Very safe.
quiet, and beautiful.
Beautiful. Okay, very good. And I'm gonna ask another question. Number three, for number three, where do you live?
ဆိုတော့အိမ်ဥစ္စာရယ်
Number three ကျတော့city လို့ပြောလို့ရတယ်
ဟုတ်
အများကြီးဆို
I live in a big city.
Do you like living in a big city?
No, I don't like live in a big
Living.
city.
I don't
I
like
don't like living in a
in a
city,
big
in a
city.
big city.
So why don't you like living in a big city?
I don't like living in a big city because it's crowded, noisy, and crowded and noisy.
Very nice.
That's
Okay,
all.
very good. So for number four and five, you can ask me questions where I live and if I like living there and why or why not. So you have to ask questions to me for number four and five.
Where do you live?
I live in an apartment.
Do you like living in an apartment?
Yes, I like living in an apartment. I like living there
Why do you like living in an apartment?
because it's quiet and peaceful. And number five.
Yeah. Then number five.
Yeah, number five, maybe. No?
Where do you live?
I live in a village.
Do you like living in a village?
Yes, I like living in a village
Why did you like living in a village?
because it's beautiful and it's safe. Okay, so this is how you talk about that. And so we have a list of people and where they live. For example, the first one, Kalani. So we have old neighborhood and safe. So we can ask where does Kalani live? So he lives in an old neighborhood.
Live in an old neighborhood.
Does he like living? No. Why doesn't he like it? Because it's unsafe. So we have these information and we use them to talk about them. So I'm gonna go first. Where does Ian, this one, not Ian. Where does Ian live? Where does Ian live?
I am lives on a busy street.
Does Ian like living on a busy street?
No,
No. So why doesn't he like it?
because it's noisy and crowded.
Yes. And where does Ara live?
Ara lives in a peaceful neighborhood.
Peaceful neighborhood. Does Ara like living in a peaceful neighborhood?
Yes,
Why does she like it?
because it's quiet.怎么样？越 quiet quiet 等于了
Quiet,
quiet
yeah. And we have
quiet.
Clara. So where does Clara live?
Clara lives in a big city.
Does she like living in a big city?
Yes,
Why does he like it?
because it's lively and beautiful.
Okay,
Lively.
you ask questions for the last two, Rango and Dutch.
Rango Dash.
Yeah.
Where does Rango live?
He lives in a small village.
Does Rango like living in a small village?
Yes, he likes living in a small village.
Why doesn't he like it?
Why does he like? He
Oh,
likes it
why does he like it?
because it's peaceful.
Where does Dash live?
He Dutch lives in a quiet town.
Mm, does Dash like living in a quiet town?
Yes,
Why why does he like it?
because it's safe and historic. Very good. So let's talk about yourself, ourselves. Where do you live? So you have to say where you are living now. Is it an apartment or a house? Or are you living on a crowded city or something?
Uh,
So where do you live?
I live in an apartment.
Okay, do you like living in your apartment?
Yes, I like it. Yes, I like living in an apartment.
And okay, why? Why do you like living in apartment?
Because it's safe, mm, safe,
It's
quiet, and
mhm.
warmly. Yeah, warmly จะตรงอย่าง adjective มาลอง
Safe and
adverb
warm.
warm
Yeah,
warm
warm is
啊
already an adjective. Yes. And is your city big or small? Is your city big or small?
because no, I
Big or
live in a big city.
okay. And is your neighborhood noisy or quiet?
I live in a neighborhood is quiet.
And is your street safe or unsafe?
My street is safe.
Okay, very good.
Mm.
And let's do this one. The Alepajion. Johnny woke up.
Johnny woke up. It was dark in his bedroom. He smelled smoke. He jumped out of bed. He yelled for his parents. They woke up. They saw the smoke too. His dad ran to get his little sister out of her room. There was smoke everywhere. The house was on fire. They all
Raw.
yeah, crawl,
Raw.
crawl. They all crawled to a window and go out on the roof. His dad found the ladder. They go out of the house safely. His men called the fire department. The house burned for a long time. All of Johnny's things were destroyed. A neighbor said, Johnny, it's too bad your home burned down. Johnny thought for a moment and said, "Oh, that was not our home. That was just our house. We still have our home. We just don't have any place to put it right now." Johnny knew that a home is where your family is.
So, how do you think house and home are they the same or not?
House or home? Not the same.
Not the same. House is
Yes.
just a building. So house is just a building, but home is a family. It's more of a family. So you
Mm.
live in an apartment. So you are living in a house, but it's not your home. You're not living at home. I mean, it's the meaning. If you are living alone, that's not home. It's when you have family members, kind of the meaning. And is there any word you don't know? Do you know crawl? Crawl.
Cross တွားတာ
Yeah,
ပေါ့
they crawl to the window and got after
ဟုတ်
the roof. Come over ကနေဆင်းလာကြတယ် So I think you understand the whole paragraph, right? No other things that you okay. Let's do the test. Listen and much.
I live in a crowded city.
season crowded city
We live in a historic neighborhood.
one or two historic neighbor
I think two.
two yes
He lives on an unsafe street.
MC Street three
She lives in a peaceful village.
two a piece of village
It's very lively where I live.
တစ်ခါတော့ပြန်မယ်
Okay.
It's very lively where I live.
lively what I live when
Yeah, it's very lively where I live. Okay, we have to use live or lips to write the or on or in to write the sentence. So, where do you live?
I live I live on a busy street
On a busy street. Where do they live?
they live in a historic
Neighborhood. They live in a historic neighborhood. Where do you live?
we live on a quiet road
Road. Where does he live?
he lives in a small town
In a small town. Listen and answer the question. So we have to answer the question. Chris, where does he live? Hollywood, Los Angeles, or Las Vegas?
Hey, Chris, where do you live?
I live in Brentwood. It's a large neighborhood outside of Los Angeles.
Where does he live?
B Brentwood
Brentwood, yeah.
oh,
Why does Chris like his neighborhood? Say busy, not expensive, or not new.
Do you like it there?
Yes, I do. It's safe and not too crowded, but the houses are expensive.
So,
safe not expensive
yes.
What about you, Aunt?
Andre doesn't like his neighborhood because the reason. What's the reason?
Andre, where do you live?
I live in Hollywood. I don't like it. It's not very safe. And on the weekends, it's too noisy.
is unsafe
Is and safe.
unsafe
Okay, စာပိုင်လေးဖတ်ကြည့်ပါဦး Dear Rebecca,
Dear Rebecca, I'm happy you are coming to visit me. You will like my neighborhood. I live in a big city, but my house is in the historic area. The buildings are old and beautiful. Many of my neighbors have small families. It is quiet at night. It is very safe. I love it there. See you soon. I love it here. See you
okay,
soon.
so Christine lives in a city. Correct. 2 o'clock. Why?
Christine ကရေးတာဆိုတော့ true ဖြစ်မှာဆို
I live in a big city. Yeah, Christine. She lives in a city too. The neighborhood is new and lively.
new and lively. lively.
So do you see? You say it's old, right? The buildings are old.
Oh,
So is it?
no,
It is false.
false.
Christian feels unsafe in her neighborhood. She feels unsafe.
No, false.
It is
It is
very
very
safe.
safe.
Yes.
Uh,
So
false.
it's false. Okay. Yeah. So do you have any questions? The lessons is finished.
Question, teacher.
Yes. So this is a list of questions you can ask to talk about within this topic when you have someone from foreign country. If you want to know, you can ask, where do you live? Do you like living there? And you can ask this question, yes or no question. Is your city big or small? Is your neighborhood noisy or quiet? Is your street safe or unsafe? Do you live in a house or an apartment? Yeah, these are a few questions you can make. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, we can stop here for tonight.